news overseas, Turkey has long been a member in the North Atlantic Treaty Organization military alliance. But under the leadership of President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, NATO members have been mindful and skeptical of his moves to court and curry favor from Russia, the latest of which is trying to broker and revive the Black Sea grain deal between Ukraine and Russia. The latest Erdogan-Putin encounter has the U.S., NATO, and their allies scratching their heads, as VOA's Patsy Witakoswara reports.
Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan and Russian President Vladimir Putin pledged to increase cooperation from energy to tourism to foreign aid in their September the 4th summit at Russia's Black Sea resort of Sochi. Relations between the leaders had been cooling after Erdogan angered Moscow with his support for Ukraine's bid for NATO membership. But analysts say the outcome of the Sochi summit is a strong sign the Russian leader cannot afford to downscale relations with Erdogan.
Putin cannot face losing Erdogan. I mean, that's for sure. They don't care about what Erdogan is doing in his ties with Western countries and Western institutions. They're more interested in what kind of a cooperation they can do with Erdogan, and they make cooperation in many areas.
Russian officials confirmed Wednesday that Turkey will participate with Russia and Qatar to supply 1 million metric tons of grain to 6 African countries. Under the agreement, Turkey would process the grain into flour. Turkey would also receive grain from Russia for its own market. But analysts warned that Moscow could use the deal to export stolen Ukrainian grain, breaching international sanctions and adding to broader concerns over Turkey's refusal to enforce sanctions against Russia. With sanctions getting tighter, analysts say Turkey's becoming even more important to Russia.
There are many intermediaries in Turkey that help Russian interests, that help Russia procure goods from the West, including, basic goods as well as very sensitive goods.
At Monday's Sochi summit, Putin and Erdogan also committed themselves to increasing bilateral trade from $70 to $100 billion, including turning Turkey into a regional hub for distributing Russian gas. However, some observers say such a move would undermine efforts by Turkey's Western allies to shut Russian energy out of international markets. The Russian and Turkish leaders at Sochi also discussed Russian companies' plans to build a second nuclear reactor in Turkey.
The Sochi meeting definitely demonstrated that the interaction grew between two sides, between Russia and Turkey, and both sides are in a certain way indispensable for each other. They continue to cooperate, they continue to interact. And the number of chapters in that book of cooperation between Moscow and Ankara grew tremendously.
Deepening economic cooperation between Russia and Turkey, some analysts say, threatens to strain Ankara's ties with its Western allies as they seek to isolate Moscow, and will likely dash their hopes of a break in Erdogan's close relationship with Putin. Dorian Jones, VOA News, Istanbul.